In exercise 213, it says for each of the following structures, determine whether any of the oxygen atoms bears a formal charge. They want you to find the formal charge just on the oxygens. Now remember, the formal charge is the charge on an atom, and you get it by taking the group A number, the column that it's in. Oxygen is in group 6A, and that tells you how many valence electrons that atom normally has, so 6. So group 6A, and you subtract the dots and the lines around it. So this is the normal number of valence electrons right here, and then this is the number of valence electrons in that particular molecule. And the balance between those gives you the charge on the atom, the formal charge. Now since we're only interested in oxygen in these problems, the group A number is always going to be 6 for these. Let's start with this first one. We see our oxygen here. It's in group 6A, so 6. Then we're going to subtract the dots and the lines around it. We see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dots. And around that oxygen there is only one line. And so the formal charge on that oxygen will be 6 minus 7 or negative 1. So you'd write a negative 1 next to the oxygen and you'd circle it. For the next molecule, again, we're just looking at the oxygen, so this one right here. We know that it's going to be the group A number, which for oxygen is always 6. And we're going to subtract the dots and the lines around that particular oxygen. If you zoom in, you could see that oxygen has 2 dots, and around it you would only have 1, 2, 3 lines. So 3 lines. So that gives you 6 minus 5 or plus 1. There's a positive 1 charge on that oxygen, and so you would write the plus 1, circle it right next to the oxygen. Okay, here in C, we have our oxygen here. Oxygen is in group 6A, so we've got our group A number minus the dots plus the lines. How many dots here? 1, 2, 3, 4, so 4 dots. How many lines around that oxygen? 1 and 2, so just the 2. So the charge on that oxygen, the formal charge, will be 6 minus 6, or 0. And when you have a 0 formal charge, you don't have to write the 0 in. You just don't write anything, and the 0 is understood. All right, last but not least, this molecule here, we've got our oxygen. Oxygen is in group 6A, so that's the normal number of valence electrons on there. We're going to subtract the dots and the lines. On this oxygen, we have 1, 2 dots. So that's going to be 2 dots. And then we have around that oxygen 1, 2, 3 lines. So that's 3 lines. So 6, the formal charge will be 6 minus 5 or plus 1. So you would take a plus 1, you would write it, the plus 1, you'd write it right next to the oxygen and circle it, and that would be the formal charge there. So again, this is just getting you to see the formal charges on oxygen, and that's crucial because later on electrons will be moving, and that movement of electrons will change the formal charges, so it's important to be sharp in your ability to see formal charges on atoms.